gonna take Idris because they've played Idris a lot of times, and Kvalvar is really proficient on Idris here. But they have first picked Lyra, but if they do first pick Lyra, they're gonna give way to Idris, and they're gonna pick the Idris because it makes sense. Lyra and Grace are open. There's no reason to first pick a healer here because you're gonna get one of them regardless. So now they need to ban one of these healers. So I think against a Vox, you want to ban Grace and get Lyra because Grace is not as good into Vox because of the mobility. Vox can jump around the Holy Nova and not get stunned. So SK will most likely ban Grace, but they may ban Lyra and opt to take the Grace here. So let's see what SK decides. But I do like the Idris though. They played it with like a Grumpjaw, for example, a CP Idris. They excel with it with Arden when SK gets Arden with it. So if none of the healers are open, if Fnatic bans Lyra here, then SK will probably take the Arden. So I do like the draft coming out from SK so far.
Yeah, and the Arden's something we've seen Raph play a huge amount of. It's something that they've been very comfortable with, and also something that Fnatic don't dislike themselves. Neto has played a fair bit of Arden himself, and especially comboed with that Scarf, we saw them have huge success versus specifically G2, so definitely something that not only is good for SK, but also a denial from Fnatic.
Yeah, it's just a very, very popular pick in Europe, especially. And it is going to be coming here through SK.
Yeah, this is key here because now Fnatic can pick Baptiste Cath, which is going to be such a deadly combination. And it comes out. And
Instant
now SK has to really work on their blocks and their crucibles here.
And just look at the fact that Fnatic, 60 seconds bonus time still. They knew what they were doing coming into this draft.
As soon as I saw Arden get picked, I knew that SK would probably pick Arden, and that's going to open up Baptiste and Cath for the side of Fnatic. And this is a very strong draft for Fnatic here.
Yeah, this composition is terrifying. What do you do if you're SK here? Like, what is a good pick to go against this composition to survive the kind of wombo combo?
Something like a Kestrel or a Scarf, I think you need to have that range that can deal with a Baptiste. Something that it doesn't fully rely on having a lot of mobility because Baptiste just shuts that down so hard. So they are going to go with the Scarf here. Because they really kind of needed to. It was a situation where Fnatic forced them into one of those two picks.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we have our compositions locked in. Fnatic looking very strong, but the Scarf Arden combo we've seen work absolute wonders for teams in the past. How are we feeling about these two compositions, especially Fnatic's? Like, for anyone that's not seen this composition in action, do you want to run me through a little bit, like, why this is so powerful, why this is so difficult to play up against?
It's an anti-engage comp. If Idris goes in, Cath is going to stun him. Baptiste has Ordain. He can then fish some Shade. It's so much CC and locked on. It's insane. And then you have a silence from Cath. You just can't dive into this comp. So they have to let Scarf poke, get stacks, and then play aggressive. Otherwise, they're going to lose if they dive.
Yeah, we just saw a replay of Immortals doing that in the challenge battles as well. That's the power that this composition can have. Now, I do want to preface that they had a pretty significant gold lead at that point. It doesn't usually do quite that much damage, but the CC is the key thing to take away from that one now. We're just about ready to jump on into this game. Final thoughts before we jump in, Bacon?
It's really just going to rely on excellent use of crucibles and reflex blocks, and just positioning is going to be so integral to this matchup.
All right, do we think SK can come back into this series, Suijay?
Yeah, if they get 2 crucibles late game, they might be able to do it.
Okay, well, there's a lot on the line for them right now. Fnatic 1-0 up. They beat them in the finals 2-0 last time, and they're looking towards another 2-0 here if they can execute. Hashtag Vainglory on Twitter. Let us know who you're supporting, but it's time to pass it over to our casters for potentially the final game of Europe already. Let's get onto the fold.
Well, Fnatic versus SK here. Game 2 with Fnatic up 1. If they can close out on this, it would be a huge victory for them, in my opinion, up against SK, who, I mean, right now, they're ranked as one of the best. And this is so important to get points moving forward against a team like this.
Yeah, I mean, SK, they have looked really, really good recently. They have some incredible players on their lineup, like Tyrus, who had, I think it was like a 92% kill participation, you know, really good players. But Fnatic in that game 1 looked, frankly, to me, like they were on a slightly different level. So it really does depend on if what SK is bringing to the table here compositionally can handle things. Kvalvar, I love that he's on the Idris. I think this is a pick he's shown himself to be quite strong on in the last split. And I also like Tyrus on the Scarf. He seems to excel in these mage heroes in the jungle. So this is perhaps one of the comps that SK can make a comeback on. Fnatic has a lot of raw power, though.
Yeah, they do. Fnatic really have that kind of, you know, if we catch you, you're caught kind of power. And on the flip side, it feels like SK kind of have that like over time. We're gonna bully you to the point where you realize like suddenly like you're on the back foot. We have the damage output advantage. Nettoilette's gonna find the stun ordained onto K Volifar, and rest in peace, dear Idris. As Raph and Tyrus make their way up, but a little bit too late. First blood going to Fnatic.
Very nice aggression out of Fnatic. This is a composition that can definitely pile on the pressure with Vox and Batiste both doing great amounts of damage early on. And of course, Catherine, one of the most reliable ways of setting up your team for a kill is with Merciless Pursuit. So very nice stuff there. Fnatic have not been able to crash the wave into the turrets straight up though, so Kvalifar should be able to get most of these creeps.
Yeah, he should be able to do all right. Between the basic attacks, the chakram, he'll be all right. Raph's hanging out with him. Raph actually going Protector contract this game. And we see this built on occasion. What do you think the reason is this game in particular?
I think that it is going to help a lot against just incredible amounts of damage we have coming through. I like it actually for that reason. I mean, you got to realize that someone like Batiste is one of the highest damage heroes early on. Those bad mojos really do just crush through you.
Yeah.
So anything that assists your team in avoiding some of that is definitely good.
Nettoilette swinging a missile, and that's done as he doesn't connect on the K-Volifar. Very good positioning out of K-Vol, just to hang back and a little higher in the lane. Makes it much harder to stun him. Ordained is going to connect, but really hard to avoid that at this point. It's so easy to apply that Ordained, but he's not really in danger at all. We see Tyrus able to take the Elder Chant and teleport out. And Palmatoro predicting that he was on the right brush down there, throwing the bad mojo. If he had thrown it in the other one, he could have stopped that back.
Yeah, that would have been pretty good for him, to be honest, but as it stands, Fnatic continuing to apply a lot of pressure in the lane, which I like. It can be a bit difficult for Kvalifar to deal with early on here. Doesn't have the easiest time farming creeps compared to some lane heroes, so applying pressure, making him split his focus is definitely good. I like the fact that Tyrus is just going lots and lots of crystal power. He has a very fast jungle clear, so he's going to be able to get level 6 quite quickly. Maybe SK will look for some fights post that point.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of CP up, and we need that to come out quickly for Tyrus to have an impact. Good positioning. He's going to avoid the bad mojo hanging back here. You know, another thing is, like, as Fnatic and SK are trading back and forth, you see Net, well, he'll just drop a stun in the backup. Raph has to Vanguard onto K-Volifar. But the difference is, every single time that engage happens, Net is getting a stack on his heroic perk. He's at 7 right now. And I really like to see that number hang at about like at least 2 per minute, 2 stacks per minute, to have like a serious impact in the game.
Yeah, I would agree with that one for sure. All right, so gold-wise, Fnatic has been able to keep themselves at a respectable advantage so far. Trying to think of when SK is going to be able to like really start to make moves to come back. I do think Tyrus hitting his first item is going to be very big. Kvalifar, pretty slow item progression so far. He hasn't spent yet. It's on 2k. That's actually an opportunity for Fnatic if they can cut him off on the way to the shop or pushing the wave.
Nah.
Oh, that was nice timing by him, though, actually, for going back.
Very nice timing for him. I mean, like you said, strategically, would have been a huge play if they can stop that back and then continue fighting when Techno has this poison shift. Although K-Vol, like you said, able to get back. So he's going to be back in the lane and a little bit of weapon power under his belt. Not quite unlocking his divergent path just yet, but very shortly, probably his next trip down to the shop. And we'll see. What do you think? He'll just get Sorrow Blade and goes from there?
I like that build, to be honest. I think it's good for the kind of aggression he wants to put on. Palma
taking a lot of trouble, but this is K-Vol getting locked up on the front side. So much disable coming out, and Fnatic turn it around and find the kill. It's Tyrus on the run with Raph. What a tough place to be in. I mean, Raph with the Vanguard, the Protector contract, and the Fountain could not keep his teammate alive.
Yeah, that was really tough. I like that SK tried something, but I think it was a little bit too early. Maybe waiting until they had a bit more of a convincing ability to pick up a kill would be good. You got to remember Palma has a lot of inbuilt sustain. Had going out of the turret there. A little boldly, for my liking. But yeah, Fnatic, they're playing very smartly in a very disciplined way so far. Not biting off too much more than they can afford to, that's for sure.
I think, okay, so we probably see Tyrus go Frostburn first. There you go. It just came out. I was going to say, though, I actually would kind of prefer to see him skip that and just get into like a Shatter or Broken Net. Just start to get some serious damage output as a threat not only would it help out like his threat damage output threat in the game, but it would buy a little space for Cave Olafar, because you have to like really respect once that Scarf does get serious damage items up. At this point though, Frostburn, he'll have the slow, but I just don't know what the slow gives them so much in this game.
Yeah, I mean, the slow is really going to, I think, stop Palma from being able to play around the edge of a fight the way that he'd like to. I guess that's probably the most likely use case for it here. Because Baptiste has a weird range, like he's kind of in between long and short. Mm-hmm. So being able to play with that and slow him, so if he has to go in, he's slowed, he's kind of like committing very hard to make the play happen, can be quite good.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Also, you know, Vox is kind of what you said. He's not long range, but he's not melee either, right? And with the mobility, he can jump in and out and slow him down a little bit. Maybe it gives a little time for K-Vol to find the damage, do what he needs to do. I just don't know if K-Vol 4 has that damage output threat if he commits into a fight, because if what I'm trying to say, Fnatic, it feels like super telegraphed. Whenever they're going to go at somebody, it's going to be like, look, we're going to stun you, ordain you, fearsome shade, wait for it, blast trimmer. That's all coming right at you a lot of times, and they're going to throw it and try to land these in succession. That's why I feel like throwing Spitfires the opposite way is going to be just as easy.
That's a very good point. You know, it's definitely a debatable choice to go for the Frostburn, but might work out here. Interesting. Reflect there, Net Toilette. That's one of those things as well. Really good against characters like Scarf if you can reflect some of those big Spitfires in the late game. I love the Catherine pickup, honestly. It's very, very strong stuff. Right now, though, SK are continuing to try and apply some pressure in the lane, which is kind of interesting. I'm not sure I would focus on that right now, after the last couple of fights didn't really go so well. I don't think they've hit any particular spike they hadn't earlier.
Oh, they have Gauntlet now. They didn't have that before, right?
That's true.
They have the Gauntlet, but I mean, they are big ults for Fnatic as well. Like, if you get caught, there's the Blast Trimmer, Ordain. They have K-Ball stunned up. Gauntlet goes down, but it's too little too late. Bitter Sorilus coming through. Tyrus taking huge damage, but he's able to get out of there. And Palmatoro was empowered with those bad mojos doing work. And Fnatic didn't quite chain all of those abilities together, but it still had a massive impact.
Yeah, nice stuff there. Fnatic continuing to assert their dominance. They're going for a gold mine off the back. So again, like we've mentioned a number of times today, leveraging the fights and the kills to take objectives. I think that Tyrus is... Like, here's the annoying part, actually, about trying to play a jungle Scarf. On one hand, your fast clear is great, because you're never, like, stuck clearing when a fight happens in the lane. But on the other hand, it sometimes feels like you need to do something, because there isn't necessarily anything to do. Because you've already cleared all the jungle, and it's not like you can invade with Scarf, right? So you go to lane, and you're like, all right, maybe we can make a play happen. And it tricks you into thinking you can. I think that's part of what's been happening in this game, to be honest.
His clear speed tricking him into thinking he's capable of doing something.
Absolutely.
I feels like the best thing he could do. Well, there's the stun onto Gabal. Bad mojo. I don't know if that connected or not. He's all right either way. Net's gonna go ahead and have to back up here. Palmatoro ready to throw Fearsome Shade in just a second or two. That's coming off cooldown. All the ultimates coming off cooldown for Fnatic. So they're absolutely ready for this fight. No gauntlet available for SK if they do get caught out or try to fight. One thing I wanted to point out maybe before we fight here, Tyrus just putting a point into ultimate. He had been maxing Spitfire and Goop this whole time.
That's interesting. I like that, actually. I think that the ultimate at level 1 isn't exactly the most impactful thing, and a lot of the time you're not actually going to be able to make that kind of a fight happen early. By that kind of a fight, I mean one which is very, very grouped up in a choke point where you're expecting you can actually get that damage down. So it makes a lot of sense. I think the plan that he went for here. Question is
down. They caught two. Can they find the damage? Net Toilette on the front line. That's not the target that you want, but it's Tenno taking big damage. Dragon's Breath's gonna come through, melting on it too, but Tyrus doesn't really want to get in there too deep. Can't blame his Palmatoro sitting on a lot of health. Palmatoro will be the front side of this fight as Kvolifar chase forward, Fountain's out, Ordain down. Did they find this one actually moving forward with that Shimmer Strike, trying to keep him on target, but it's actually turned around. Respect the bad mojo. Respect Palmatoro. They find the kill. Nettoilette's going to move in, finds the stun. This is going to be a dead Scarf double kill coming through Palmatoro. Oh,
man.
It's a disaster. Fnatic just flipping that one on its head. And SK, you gotta wonder, like, what are these guys thinking right now?
That was massively overreaching. Really, really rough stuff for the side of SK. I see why they tried to go in. You know, you've been behind on the back foot the entire game. You see this window and you're like, all right, let's take it. But you gotta be careful not to overdo it. They definitely did there. Fnatic now have such a stranglehold on the game. It's also very rough being in that position just purely because of the fact that you had such a great gauntlet, great Dragon's Breath, you know, it bait you in.
I don't know. We'll talk about that Dragon's Breath in a second. I didn't like it. Wait for it's going to come through, but they lose Palmatoro simultaneously, and it's not really enough to keep their teammate alive. So, Fnatic in a 2 vs 3 as SK sitting here in the middle of the map with a bit of an advantage, but are they still looking to fight? Are they still looking to play some games without Vox's ultimate? I guess Net still has Blast Trimmer, and they have the mobility. Let's see if Net moves in here on this gold mine. This is going to be close. Blast Trimmer just a little bit too late. The SK, they do clear through objectives pretty quick, like if they can get onto target.
Yeah, absolutely, but haven't found that opportunity just yet. I think, you know, a big item spike that we need to keep our eyes out for is really the next one from Tyrus. You gotta keep in mind, he's only on 1 right now, so these fights that are nearly going their way could easily become, you know, fights that are going their way not that long from now. We'll have to see if they find that opening. Also worth noting, Echo is picked up for Catherine. 30 seconds on the ult, but once it is up, it's up twice.
Oh man, that's a huge pickup right there.
It's gonna be big. It really does give them the opportunity to begin to make plays that otherwise they couldn't. It's great against the Scarf because if you keep him off of Spitfires for that long, it's huge.
Kvol used Shroud Step to move forward. Kvol, he's able to actually get himself out of there. Thank you very much for bailing me out, Sir Raph. Says Kvolifar as he looks to teleport home. 13 minutes in, 6-1. As Fnatic bear down on SK. They have the advantage here, but SK is showing, and they're almost at the point where they're capable of fighting. Looks like they should drop off this Crystal Sentry. Gauntlet's down. Nettoilette's going to block that and move out as he tanks up all the damage, reflecting even a little bit. Fearsome Shade comes through. They're holding it. I don't know. Blast Trimmer coming through, and he'll have to Echo's coming up in 1 second. He must have echoed did he echo Stormguard before? What did he echo at?
I didn't catch it. Maybe?
He must have. That's actually super funny, though. I mean, funny, but OP. Like, if you were talking about how Catherine's really good against Scarf and, like, you know, big burst damage coming out, you can just reflect it. What do you just put that out and then you just echo it and you're like, oh, I'm still here.
Yeah, this is, I still think it's better to just go for the Blast Trimmer. Like,
yeah, I agree, but it's pretty Nettoilette, very fitting.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so Fnatic, they've slowed down a lot. This doesn't bode particularly well for them, actually. Although a lot of these fights are still going quite well, the longer this game goes, the stronger a chance SK has of continuing to make plays and trying to actually set things up. I think that if SK can't make another big team fight happen... Oh, as I say that, sorry, if Fnatic can't make another big team fight happen in the next, like, 2 minutes, then SK will actually have a bit of an advantage.
Okay, I mean, that's just compositionally.
Yeah.
Alright, well, we'll see here. I mean, I'm looking at Palmatoro's items, and that's pretty scary. Speaking of items as well, Nettoilette, a no-wave gauntlet coming out for him.
No-wave gauntlet's going to be really big, because it shuts down Echo, for example, which is actually pretty nice. Oh, sorry, no, actually, it's on Nettoilette.
It's from him, he's got his own Echo!
Yeah. Okay, well then he's going to be able to null wave, stop the Crucible, land a silence, chain silence. He can stagger his own crowd control in a very nasty kind of way. So yeah, I actually really like that pickup. That being said, I do think a Crucible would be nice to grab sometime soon. You are against Gauntlet after all.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I mean, if it's kind of like if they engage on you, you just stand your ground. You throw a silence, a stun, a wait for it, a blast shimmer. You got 2 of them. That is too much to block. You have 1 Crucible. They're going to chase through the choke point with the goop down. And it's a net on the front line. Blast shimmer. The wait for it come through. They are silenced up. Net is he going to wind up for another one here in a second? Well, I don't know if you already used that gauntlet down. They've already lost K-Volvar. Dragon's Breath going to come out. Tyrus is like, nah.
no.
Out of here. Fearsome Shade going to come through again. Disrupting and just pulling this team apart. 8-1. Fnatic. I mean, they're making the plays.
That was insane. Palma wasn't even really in that fight, and they were still able to just crush it that hard. It was ridiculous. Tetno did so much work basically by himself. That's one of the things that happens, though, when you're playing Weapon Power Vox, I guess, in the late game. He's got a breaking point, by the way. It's actually kind of an interesting itemization here from him. I think it makes a lot of sense, though. You're expecting these fights to be a little bit longer. So why not, go for the thing that leverages that properly?
I really like it. And honestly, if Tetno does get a couple breaking point stacks, K-Vol just can't trade with him. It's going to be way too difficult unless Tetno is sitting on low health, does get caught, like sitting in a group that's been ignited or something like that. Right now, Kraken going to be marching down the lane. Fnatic start to push here. This turret will take the first damage, the first blow from the Kraken. SK looking to just land a little bit of poke. No broken miss stacks for Tyrus just yet. That's 1 stun coming out. It's going to be able to block it. No! They ordain him. The Fearsome Shade coming there. I can't even call out the ability name so fast they chained him down. SK just got wrecked.
They really did. This could just be game here. Humanist Tyrus is going to need to make a hero play to defend this.
Well, he would have had to not build Frostburn first to do it. I'm just teasing him. Obviously, I didn't agree with it personally, just because I didn't feel like slowing down the move speed of a team that has so much coming at you is ever going to be enough. You just need to threaten them with pure damage. But okay, Kraken's dropping low. Gauntlet. That's one he wishes he could probably have back. K-Volvar is going to move forward. There's his Shimmer Strike. He's on to Palma, but this is the Fearsome Shade. They disrupted Tyrus. Tyrus dropping low. Palma Tor turns it around, but Tetno drops K-Vol. They drop Raph and SK. Well, they've fallen apart for all intents and purposes. Oh! Who is this man? Tyrus, the legend, the man, the myth. Oh, he drops the goop. I thought it might ignite, but that reflex from Tetno might have saved his life, honestly. It didn't let him apply the burn.
Still, though, I mean, Fnatic, they're not complaining about the situation they're in right now. Let's be real. They are in a great spot. It's so hard for SK to come back, but there's an expression in poker, actually, which says all you need is a chip and a chair. All you need is 1 turret and your Vein Crystal to not be dead. So maybe it's possible to come back. They do have a very strong late-game carry in the Scarf and in the Idris, to be honest. Fnatic, they need to keep finding windows or making them.
I mean, you say that, but I just feel like Idris can't get on target without being disabled. And it's just not the same story going the other way. Palma Torlo, he has such high damage output, but at the same time has Aegis completed. I find it also very interesting looking at Tetno, who went for the War Treads. So this team, like, when they find 1 disable, you're not getting away from it. It doesn't matter that you're incredibly elusive as this Idris, because there's a War Treads on Catherine, there's a War Treads on the Vox, plus all the disables, all of the stuns, the Echo, the Null Wave. Dude, if SK can do this, honestly, they're pretty legendary status. I don't know what I would do for these guys. Pretty OP though. I'd have to just tweet out that they are the best.
Fnatic are looking real good here. I think they don't even necessarily need to go for a Kraken. A Kraken can always be stolen, so it's a little riskier than you need to be. Fnatic can probably just set up a kill. You got to find that opening though. K-Volvar is quite far up the front line here.
Like, he gets chakram damage out onto Palma, like trying to trade, but a bad mojo comes through and all of a sudden Palma's healed himself all the way back up. His regen is just incredible there. Tetno playing some games. Raph Vanguard onto K-Vol. K-Vol, another chakram. Swing and a miss. Tyrus on the backside is going to land 1 Spitfire. There's 1 BM stacks. He moves forward. Second misses. They continue to poke, continue to move forward. They need to make a play. Blast Hammer lands onto 3. Gauntlet will come down. The wait for it's going to come through onto 2 or 3 as well as a second Blast Hammer comes through with the Null Wave. What are you supposed to do? This is like playing the game on just insane broken mode. Fnatic absolutely just demolishing SK here. Gonna force K-Volifar back up to the healing platform, and let's see. I think they just want to go as 3 and look to end this. This is the best opportunity K-Vol had all game, but he's gonna be ordained. Fearsome Shade. There's shot step forward, trying to get on target, throwing the chakram. He's doing a pretty good job, all things considered at this point. Net dropping really low. They're dropping the turret aggro. K-Vol doing good job here. The Shimmer's tank is stunned up on the side. If he had a breaking point, maybe he'd have a couple stacks, but at this point, Net's just like, well, get stunned again, bro. Doesn't matter, no wave gauntlet. Blaststreamer cleans him up for another stack on Net's passive. The heroic perk right there coming through. 48 stacks at the end. Fearsome Shade for style points. And Fnatic coming through with a very strong 2-0 here.
That was really, really impressive. Fnatic looked great. I can't wait to see them against teams like Calamity Reborn later on in this tournament. Because, I mean, really, both looked almost unstoppable today.
It was really a thing of beauty. I'm so excited to see teams performing.